All right, so now everybody wants videos of the 8x8 Foreman floating, but I'm getting a bunch of questions about how to mount the beadlock rings in our new wheels that are starting to get delivered to customers this week. So making a quick video on how to mount down the beadlocks. I've done this before, but the search function on YouTube is terrible and people can't find it. So I'm making a new one. If you're comfortable with beadlocks, just go for it. These mount very similar to every other beadlock wheel. But if it's your first time, watch the video. It'll save you some trouble in the long run. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, let me know. You can hit me up on the Facebook page, Terache Facebook page, or the chat, or chat on our website, whatever. Just message me and I'll help you out. And there is a promo code on the screen right here, Mud Puppy, that'll get you 5% off these wheels. But yeah, good luck, guys. So far, everyone's been really happy with them. All right, what's up, guys? The Terache Beadlocks are starting to get delivered. A few people got them yesterday. Very exciting. We got them shipped out super fast, ahead of schedule. Awesome. Mine are obviously a little beat up. They've been getting tested like crazy. They've been working great. I've had 0 leaks whatsoever. Really good clamping pressure and everything. So I'm really happy with mine. I'm sure you guys will love yours. But I'm getting questions about how to mount the beadlocks again. Mounting beadlock tires is super easy. I'm going to show you how to do it again in this video. I'm going to show you how I do it. It might not be the most 100% recommended way by all the professionals, but I do a lot of wheels, and this works good. So I'm going to try to walk you through the entire process for mounting these wheels. I'm going to use some clips from some old videos because I don't feel like breaking my inner bead down for no reason, but I did pull the ring off for you. So first of all, if you're starting with a new rim and a new tire, very easy. If you're starting with a used rim or a used tire, you got to do some cleaning. So because these have been in some mud and stuff like that, and when I dismounted them, some Rancho clay got in the threads, I'm just going to go around and clean out all the threads with some carburetor cleaner to blow out any dirt that might have fallen in there. You do not need to do this step if you're doing new wheels. Yeah, I got a little bit of dirt out of that one. I'm going to show you the video of how to get the tire onto the rim. It's pretty easy, and then we'll click back to here. Okie dokie, this is an old clip, so put your valve stem in the wheel before you put the tire on the wheel. That kind of goes without saying, but I forget it all the time. So now I'm lubricating the rim to help the tire inside bead slip over the rim. Ideally, you want to use like a liquid tire mounting compound, just a lubricant. Some people use dish soap and water. I'm using a bar soap here. All works pretty good. What that does is it helps the tire pop onto the back bead when you're pressurizing it, so you don't have to use excessive pressure to mount the tire. By the way, mounting tires is really hard if it's cold outside, so recommend doing it inside. If it's chilly, that's what I'm doing here. It makes the tire a little more flexible, but this tire was sitting outside, so it's still pretty hard. So when you're stretching the tire over the wheel right here, a lot of times you don't even need a tire tool. You can just do what I'm doing there, kind of pull the tire, pull the rim and pull it into the tire, and you can pop that inside bead over the front of the wheel with no tools. This tire's a little stiff, and it's kind of normal with a good beadlock. You typically have to use a tool, but it just kind of depends on the tire. So I'm stretching that inside bead over the front of the wheel now in preparation to start installing the beadlock ring. This is the hardest part of the job. It does require a little bit of manual labor, but it's really not too bad, and you shouldn't be scared of doing this on your own. And if you scratch the wheel right there, you can't see it once it's fully bolted up. Okay, we're back. So I got the GoPro on my head so I can use both hands and you can see what I'm doing. So get the tire set down on the wheel where it's sitting around the groove. There's a little lip there. You want your tire sitting flush down like this. If you're using a really wide tire, sometimes it helps to put a bucket under the wheel to get the weight of the tire to sit down so that it's sitting flush. It's a lot easier if you start with it sitting down like that. Then set on your ring and align it with all your holes. Next, get your anti-seize. Now some racer guys say not to use anti-seize. It could cause them to bolts to loosen up or whatever. That might be fine in the desert, but if you mud ride, you 100% want to do anti-seize. That way when you go to remount your tires, it's an easy process. So put some anti-seize on the thread and start the bolt by hand. Probably should have cleaned these bolts a little better. They look okay, but we're using anti-seize, so it'll be just fine. This won't be a problem for you guys because you're mounting a brand new wheel and they're not going to be full of clay. All right, so we got all our bolts started with our fingers. I like to go around with a socket and just run them in another turn or so, just to make sure we got them all lined up right. The last thing you want to do is cross thread one of your beadlock bolts. I see people do it all the time, and it's just a pain in the ass to fix, and it's easily avoidable if you go through and check it by hand like this. So everything feels good by hand. So now we're ready to use our little impact. So I use this little Milwaukee 3453-20. Any little 1/4 inch driver type impact will work for this. I put on the lowest torque setting, and the first couple ones I go in a star pattern. All right, obviously that is not enough torque, but we've got the tire sitting flush. Check to make sure you got a pretty similar gap all the way around. As you tighten it down, you will see the tire kind of stretch because you're clamping that bead and you're putting the cable that's in the bead into tension. Right? There's a steel cable in the bead. Now I go to the number 2 setting and I tighten in a circle. All right, now there is some argument between different manufacturers about should you go in a circle, should you continue to go in a star pattern. I've had good success going in a circle. It makes sure you don't skip one. With this many bolts, going in a star pattern is kind of tricky to make sure you torque them all. Now, I don't call that totally torqued yet, right? So we went in a circle in one direction. On number 2, we kind of hit it. Then I go in the other circle just for a little bit on number 2, just to make sure the torque is equalized. Because as you torque this one down, it takes some torque off the next one, etc. So we're just kind of tapping them to make sure that they all have a pretty similar torque on them. All right, so that gets us most of the way there. They're torqued evenly, but they're not torqued all the way yet. So let's go ahead and check one, see where we're at, and we're gonna go ahead and torque this to 20. So we were pretty close to 20. And just go around and torque them all to 20. Okay, so that's the right way to do it. Use the torque wrench 100% to do the final torque. I realize most of you guys aren't going to do that. And I'm not going to pretend that I always do that. So when I'm mounting a new wheel for the first time and I want to do everything perfectly, I do use the torque wrench, but I dismount and remount tires all the time. Realistically, most people don't use a torque wrench on beadlocks. They just hit it with an impact. The torque spec for this size fastener is 15 foot-pounds. I usually go for something around 20. So what I do is after this step, I go to the number 3 setting on my gun, and I just kind of hit them one more time. Okay, and now we're good to go. So that'll get you through the first ride. I do highly recommend when you get back from the first ride, just take a few minutes. You can leave the wheels on the machine and just go around and check the torque on every single one of them with your impact again. And then after that, after you re-torque them after the first ride, you're good to go. Pretty straightforward. They mount just like every other beadlock I've ever done. There's really no tricks to it. I will say the one thing I highly recommend is to put some anti-seize on there. A lot of places in Florida, the water has a lot of corrosive properties in it. You're getting some brackish water and stuff. And haven't had any issues with these wheels, but I have had beadlocks like these where the bolts seize up and I end up having to drill and retap and it ends up very janky. So definitely recommend using anti-seize. And definitely you want to make sure you have even torque on there and you don't have to go crazy with it. You probably need less torque than you think. There's a lot of fasteners and a very stiff ring. So a lot of the force that's getting clamped through the bolt ends up being transferred to clamping on the tire. So you really don't have to go too crazy with the fastening. If you want to use a torque wrench, that's the way to go. That's the right way to do it. If you want to be a little quicker about it, just use a small 1/4 inch drive impact. I have had 0 leaks with these wheels and I can take out half the fasteners and it still won't leak. So the really good clamping force on the beadlock ring, and of course the Terache tires, the beads just seal good in general. But yeah, if you guys want these wheels, there's still a couple more sets available. We have another shipment coming soon. I don't think we're gonna have any problem keeping them in stock. So far, everyone I've talked to that's got them and has mounted them is really happy with them.